Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another segment of Soul Talk. So this is going to be the part two of Stop Obeying, Start Disobeying. So today, we're talking about in the first one, the first part, we're talking about how people engage in so much obedience that they do something horrible just because they want to obey. So, and I would like to call this experiment. Stanley Milgram was a social psychologist, and he performed an experiment on obedience. The reason why he did that experiment was because of the Eichmann's trial. That's the Nazi man under Hitler who killed millions of Jews. You see, his argument in it was that even though this massacre of Jews happened a long time ago, that it was possible to occur in modern day, that people could still do that kind of atrocity. And so people did not believe that assumption. They felt, well, you don't know what you're talking about, that people have changed, things are better now, nobody's going to participate in a mass slaughter of a group of people simply because they are inferior. So he set out an experiment to prove that what he was saying was actually right. So the experiment was simple. What it was you come into the hall, you sit down, they give you some certain questions that you're going to ask somebody else that you cannot see in the other room. You're going to ask somebody that cannot see in the other room. And then if they fail, let's say like maybe 100 questions. If they fail, all you have to do is press a button and they will get shocked. So it was at least, if you fail the first one is a minor shock, then the more you continue to fail, the shock graduates to like 400 volts, which will obviously kill you. So he told them, and then he stood beside the person that was asking the questions, and he told them that this is an experiment on something. This is we're going to ask. It's just a test we're doing. We're just asking him some questions, and they tell you this is important. They tell you that this person has a heart condition, so you know that. So then they give you the test starts. So you ask them one question, and if they get it, you don't shock them. If they fail, you shock them. And if they keep failing, you keep shocking them. You understand? So in the experiment, he realized was a lot of them, and these were regular people, teachers, laborers, people, just average people. A lot of them went to 400 volts in the experiment. And why this was important was these were regular people. And even though that they were shocking somebody, even though they knew they were shocking, and the person had a heart condition, they kept participating, they kept pressing the shock button. And so he was able to show that this kind of cruelty is possible. And then he was able to explain it too. He said the reason why people were able to go to 400 volts. What I want you to understand is if this experiment, if it was not an experiment, if it was real life, if it was everything was not, let's assume it was not staged. That means those people who were asking the question would have killed people life. Understand? So, but because it was staged, so there was nobody was harmed in the party. Nobody was harmed. Nobody was. The shock was not really administered because it was an experiment. But the people, after the results came out, the people that participated in the experiment, the people that were they saw themselves in a certain way, in a negative way. They saw themselves in, so I can do this kind of horror to another person. You understand? And that caused some psychological problems for them. And Milgram was able to explain that the reason why these people were able to go to 400 votes was because he was the expert. He was wearing a white coat and he sat beside them. And he told them that just keep going. I'm in charge here. I'm responsible for whatever happens, just keep going. So that fact that there was an authority figure in the room and the fact that they could not see the person in the other room, that they were shocking. You see, if you can see the person, then when you're administering, when you're harming them, you will start questioning yourself. But as long as you cannot see them, it's like as if they don't even exist to you. They're just something, they're just out of sight, out of mind. So that's why they could press the shock and they keep going. So I was able to show that even in modern day, this kind of atrocity can still happen. And that was a real landmark. Experiment. The name of the experiment is Stanley Milgram's experiment. It's on obedience to authority. So if you search it online, you can get it. So another person that conducted an experiment, and the reason why I'm letting you know about this experiment. Another person that conducted the experiment is Philip Zimbardo on Stanford prison experiment. What basically was he got young people, and then divided them into, then created a makeshift prison, then put some people as guards, then put some people as prisoners. The experiment lasted for a few days because what happened was the guards became sadistic to the prisoners, and this was staged. It was not real life. It was an experiment, but they subjected them to all manners of horrible behavior or all manners of dehumanization in just a few days that the experiment had to be cut off. Why am I saying all this? Why I'm saying this is, you see, like I said before, our society preaches obedience. Sometimes you are even in a situation whereby you know that what this they've told you to do is wrong, but because you want to conform, you want to belong, you want to be seen as the good person, you do something horrible. This thing keeps repeating itself in history. If you look at if you look at the what they call it, the bombing of Japan, that's exactly what happened. These people knew what they were going to do. They knew that dropping the bomb was going to cause mass slaughter of people.